Hey, welcome back to Kabbalistic. Very serious topic today. Addiction. Addiction and drugs. We do drugs and we're addicted because of the feeling associated with it. You cannot tell someone who's addicted to drugs, no matter how you perceive them, that it's wrong, because it's the only time they feel in control of their body and everything. So the difference between an addict and a mystic is that the mystic controls body and creation. So as they control body and creation, this place, reality, changes in order to deliver what the mystic wants in an experience. This place changes according to how we feel and what we want to experience next in a controlled environment. The mystic has control over self and creation. For everyone else, this place governs how they feel and what they think. And this is what causes addiction. It causes addiction and it causes use. In order to cure this, I'm just going to make you aware of one thing. There's no difference between a mystic and an addict. Is not a mystic or someone who practices Kabbalah someone who does not like the current situation that they're in, so they want or seek control over it. So it's very easy for someone who's addicted, who uses drugs or alcohol, to switch over into mysticism, which is reality creation. Reality creation. The person who does drugs is simply looking to enhance and control the situation, and that's exactly what we do with reality creation. So the only thing you have to do to switch over from being a complete user, someone who is, in everybody else's view, lost, which I find comical, is to become an inner engineer with mysticism. So I rather experience something designed, something that I designed, rather than chaos, wouldn't you? Which is exactly what the user tries to do. They know exactly where they're going and exactly what is going to happen the moment that they use. The moment that they use. They know exactly the way they're going to feel. There's no difference between that and the mystic, someone who's in control of body, mind, and creation. The difference between the mystic, who understands creation, and everybody else is you never in your life manifest what you want. You always manifest what you have become. So if you're always recovering and identify with being a recovering drug addict, you can never be cured because you're always going to be in that state. So the words I am, be very careful of them, because what you put after that governs your reality. If you say I am anything, that is exactly what you are in consciousness. If you say I am recovering, you are not fully recovered, are you? So remember, before we get into it, real quick, both mysticism and drug use of any kind, prescribed or street, doesn't matter, change your body's inner chemistry. But only one is lasting. When you become an inner engineer with mysticism, it is long lasting for the rest of your life. It's not a taste of ecstasy or bliss. When you become a mystic and you identify as being in control of reality and your body, instead of identifying with a recovering addict, what you've done is just taking control by default. So you're thinking right now, okay, Scott, this is all well and good. We've already identified the reason why I drink or do drugs. We've identified that that's the only time that I feel like I'm in control. We've identified that I use this in order to escape what I believe is reality and it's time for a big change. You have been down every which road. You've done very, very well. You've done probably well for a long time. Then all of a sudden, boom, right back into that exact same cycle of feeling out of control, cycle of doing what you used to do, and you just fell back into it and you don't know what happened. It could have been something that triggered it, which is most of the time you've associated the feeling with having a good time, or when you reminisced of things that happened in your life. And Kabbalah, or mysticism, this is where it starts to work. So the answer to this riddle is very simple. You have to understand that you've unknowingly given away your ability to control your mind. It is unorganized, kind of like your desktop on your computer. If you were downloading files from the internet random and they were everywhere and you couldn't use them because they're just not organized, okay? So step number one is to reorganize yourself. Self-control is key, it's vital. But if you don't know you're out of control, it's impossible to obtain control once again. But you can't really do that going to meetings, and you can't really do that consciously because it's automatic thought, which triggers these associations that you've made to these situations where you're drunk or you're high, and it brings you to a place where you say, I'm not really complete without that. This is who I am. Okay, so this is where reprogramming of the subconscious mind, which is mysticism, comes into play. You have to reprogram the thoughts that automatically just pop into your mind in order for you to control what happens in your life next. So reality creation works like this. First off, you have to have the understanding, the mindset of what I'm currently experiencing is not what I signed up for. It's not how it works. And I'll break it down to the ridiculously simple for you. I'll use you a symbol, for example. Let's take Google, for example, okay? Perfect example. Probably how you found this video. We'll take Google. Whatever you type into the search bar and whatever pops up on the screen next is what you've chosen to experience, okay? Nothing and no one is going to take your focus away from what you've just chosen to experience. Whatever happens in the world around you, whatever is transpiring, that Google search is going to happen. It's going to pop up on the screen, and you're going to experience what you were searching for next. That is the way it was supposed to be in order for you to be born, to experience life, and to experience what you decide, your consciousness, happens next. That's what Kabbalah, mysticism, allows you to do. Now, you can apply that to drug and alcohol abuse. You could apply that to not having material objects that you desire. You can apply that to feelings. You could apply that to disabilities. You could apply it to anything that you like. And here's how you change it. It's very simple. I'm going to break it down to the ridiculously simple so you can do it. And if you want more in-depth videos on explanation, subscribe to Kabbalistic and watch the rest of the videos, okay? Very simple. I don't want you to believe a word that I'm saying. I want you to test it tonight. I want you to test it the way I'm going to explain it. I don't want you to add to it, meaning do your very best. I want you to not change your lifestyle at all consciously. I want you to do what I tell you and watch your lifestyle change automatically. Watch your addictions go away. Watch your no money situation go away. Watch your unhappy marriage go away. Watch it all go away. It's very simple. Okay, here we are. Scripture tells us at the time of death, at the time of physical death, ultimate death, that where your mind is focused here and where your heart is or your feelings governs what happens in the next stream of life. If you need more explanation on that, watch the rest of the videos. Now, I have personally tested, and I can tell you, and Scripture backs this up 100%, that each night before you go to bed, your last thoughts and where your heart is, where your feelings are, governs your next day. When your avatar resurrects, the story of you is going to continue. So if the story of you is addiction and just tragedy, that story is going to continue. But that last 5 minutes before you go to sleep is key. It's the same as ultimate physical death. Where your mind is, where your thoughts are, and where your heart or your feelings are going to govern your next stream of life. And in this case, when we're talking about waking up the following morning, it's going to govern, that is another dream of life, the continued dream of life. When your avatar resurrects, you're going to continue in the dream that you stopped, that you convinced yourself you were in the night before. So, how you change that is 5 minutes before you go to bed. I don't want you to believe a word that I'm saying. I need you to test it. If you're not courageous enough to test it, stop watching it right now. 5 minutes before you go to bed, I want you to imagine a future event. I want you to shut down your senses, all senses. I want you to go to a quiet place, close the door, and I want you to lay down on your back or whatever's comfortable in your favorite chair or recliner. I want you to shut down your senses. I want you to put your imagination, your body, in a place, a future place that is a place that is lacking what your current ailments are. For example, if you're addicted, or if you're broke, or both, if you're if your relationships, your job, whatever's wrong in your life, I want you to imagine a future in the first person, meaning that you're not watching it on a movie screen. You're actually a participant. I want you to imagine yourself in a place surrounded by unconditional love. And I'm going to use a drug abuse problem right now. A drug abuse problem right now. This is going to change your automatic thought. The thoughts that pop in your mind, the thoughts that place the picture on the back of your eye that you cannot see, that govern what happens in this 3D world. Imagine a scene in the future where whatever ails you is not present. It is something that you overcame. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Imagine yourself out to dinner with your lover, children, doesn't matter. The feeling is the key. You are in a place where the overwhelming feeling of love, unconditional, and the feeling that you're secure and safe prevails. The feeling of whatever's going on in your mind or your world right now, same thing, has passed. All addiction has passed. All turmoil, heartache, anxiety has passed. You're in the first person and you're talking, meaning that your loved ones are right across from you and they're looking at you with their eyes and you're looking back at them in their eyes. Okay? You're looking at them. Eyes are meeting. And you're explaining to them how awesome your life is currently. I want one of your loved ones in your imagination while you're laying in a quiet place when your senses are shut down and you're actually there. You're actually there 5 minutes before you go to bed, in complete belief that you are there in that place. The only sense that you have is that you are in that place, in the first person, scanning your hands. That's why my hands are tattooed, by the way. You pick up a glass of water or wine, whatever you decide. So you're in the first person. It'll help you. I want one of your loved ones to say to you, and we're going to use drugs for example, you know, I'm so happy that you no longer have an issue with drugs and alcohol. How long has it been? Now, when you create this, you're creating it as a memory, as if you are completely cured. You wouldn't even imagine taking a drink. As a matter of fact, you've associated it with horrible things. So it's just not even, it's like a drug that you don't do right now that you just can't understand why people do it. And I want that to be your reaction with feeling. Feeling is the key. So when the person says to you, you know, in the first person, I remember when you had the worst drug problem, I want you to reply like this. You know, I do too. I am so happy, and I am so glad that I no longer have that issue. I haven't done drugs in a long, long time. I don't need them anymore. My default feeling within me is the feeling of bliss and happiness and love. And you know what else? Everyone I meet treats me with unconditional love now that I'm sober. Everything that I see unconditional love in it. And every place that I go, I'm received with unconditional love. Now, this conversation has to be backed by feeling in the first person with the total belief that you're sitting there. There is no other reality but there. This is the next stream of life that you're creating, like as if you're dying and you're in complete peace and you're okay with it, and your heart, your feelings, and your mind were at the kingdom of heaven. Whatever your idea of heaven is. Usually, which is what this place lacks. Okay? That is the feeling. That is your feelings are shut down. The feelings that you're going to have with this conversation, this lucid conversation, are the feelings of unconditional love. So when you say people treat me with unconditional love, you're feeling unconditional love at that moment. Your eyes are touching. And not only when you're talking, you're watching your loved one's face change with the feeling of relief. What is relief? That you no longer have a problem. Relief, I would liken it to, is if perfect example is, you hear a car accident down the street, your 5-year-old's on a little bicycle, and you run out the door and he's right there and he's safe, and that's the feeling of relief. Feeling of relief. That's the feeling of relief. So when you say to your loved one, hey, I no longer have that problem. What you've just done is feeling is the key, reprogrammed your automatic thought, which is controlled by your subconsciousness, which is your higher self, your true self, which governs all of your perception and what happens next in the dream of life. Now, so the video doesn't get that long. If you need more on this, go to Kabbalistic and watch the rest of the videos. 5 minutes before you go to bed, in the first person, feeling is the key. Feeling of relief accompanied by the feeling of unconditional love. You're doing it as a memory one more time. You remember when you had a drug problem. You remember when you were broke. You remember when you were sick. You remember when you were on the outs with your loved ones. You remember when you had whatever issue ails you right now. It's done. It's over. It's finished. And that finished feeling is the feeling of relief. So when you are in this imaginal act in the first person and you're sitting across the table from these people, you're explaining to them how you've overcome it. It's a picture in your mind backed by feeling. Don't make it too complicated. It's one photo that you're taking of you at your favorite restaurant that you visited, a favorite place that you went to when you were in the most loving time of your life. The most perfect peaceful, blissful time of your life. That is when this future event is taking place. Now what's going to happen is 5 minutes before you go to bed, you're going to continue this over and over and over again. You playing this movie reel out in your mind until the moment before you fall asleep, which is the moment that you're going to lose control. It's the moment that you drift. Right before that happens, I'm going to quote a little bit of scripture for you right now. In Genesis 1, when God created all things, He created everything, okay? At the very end, He saw what He had created and He saw that it was good. What I want you to do is I want you to remember the moment from that place, from the dinner table, of when you created that moment. I want you to look back from that place in the first person, picture in your mind as a memory of when you created that perfect reality. View yourself sitting in that chair in that quiet place and let it go. Let it go. See that everything that you've created is good and perfect and in your best interest, accompanied with unconditional love and the memory that it's over. I'll tell you what, if you do that, you've just completely reprogrammed your subconsciousness. Do not take my word for it. Do not believe a word I say. Try it tonight. I guarantee you, if you try it tonight, tomorrow will be a completely different day. Completely. The feeling of relief and the feeling of belief that you're truly there, accompanied by the first person and shutting down your senses, creates the following day. The following day after you do this will be magical. You're going to do this 3 days in a row. 3 days in a row. You're going to do this the first night. You're going to wake up. The end of the first day is going to be like this can't be right. You're going to do it. You're going to watch this video again. You're going to do it exactly that way. The second day is going to be better, and the third day, your whole life is going to change. Probably, if you have a horrible drug addiction, or if you have a horrible situation, your perception of that situation and your drug addiction are going to just disappear. How do I know? I've personally experienced it. Kabbalah saved my life. Kabbalah saved my life. Mysticism saved my life. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's very long. It's 15 minutes. Excuse me. It's a lot longer than 15 minutes, which is my cutoff. Subscribe. Watch the rest of the videos. My phone number is all over that website. It's all over the website. So if you need to talk, text me, man. I'll walk you right through it. There is no better ride than mysticism. Okay. I love you. Try it. Thanks. Bye bye.